Hello everyone. Long time no see, I guess, if it is that you don't see me in person and the only place you see me is on YouTube. Which could be true for any of my friends that watch from abroad, though I don't think many of my friends watch these. I just wanted to give you guys kind of like a life update. I think we're about the 1 year mark for the last time I uploaded a video, which is not great for someone if I remember, I think I made one of these videos before where I said I wanted to make more content. But yeah, I just wanted to give you guys like a life update, and I know I'm not like a real YouTuber or anything like that. You know, I don't want to be making one of those like, why I've been gone videos that you see fucking plastered all over YouTube. But there was a reason why I didn't make any videos, and I feel like for my own process, I need to make this video before I can start making other videos. It's just the way my brain works. I don't quite understand it personally, but here we are. Okay, so I don't know how familiar you guys are with my own setup, but like a lot has happened in the past year. As you can see, I'm in a new house. If you guys recognize what my house looked like in the previous videos. I've moved house 3 times since the last video. So I still live with some of my old housemates, and we got a new one. We like moved from this place called Kensington to Mascot to another place in Strathfield, and then like all still in Sydney, all still in Australia. So we moved 3 times. I got out of a really long-term 4-year relationship that, I don't want to talk too much about it. I don't want to say anything, but that was hard, losing something that was such a big part of my formative years as an adult. So I'm in a new relationship now as well, so nobody cares. Within the last year, I was in Hong Kong a few times, and if you've been paying attention to the news at all, you would have known as well that Hong Kong was going through its whole protests for democracy, and that really hit home for me as like, obviously someone from Hong Kong. That fucking sucked. Just seeing it on the news all the time and hearing about all this bullshit that was happening with China. I don't want to get super political or anything, but that was something. I think since the last time I actually vlogged, I've had 3 jobs as well. So 3 houses, 3 jobs. I left Gigabyte. I actually started at Corsair. I worked there for quite a while, and then I kind of transitioned into this other role where I was working in kind of like my dream field, working with YouTubers and Twitch streamers and stuff. And I don't want to get too much into that, but I'll just say it didn't quite work out. And now I'm back in tech, working at a company called Asus. I'm sure some of you may know them for their laptops and things like that. In the past year as well, I also started streaming for just a little bit, like maybe about 2 or 3 months. And I actually got Twitch affiliate, and I kind of like had a lot of fun like streaming games that I wouldn't usually play. That was really awesome. And while I was at Corsair, I also went to the States, went to California for the first time. That was awesome. Had In-N-Out Burger. It wasn't really that good, and neither is Chick-fil-A, to me anyway. And I've got vlogs of that kind of stuff that's kind of happened, like me going to California. But yeah, actually, probably the biggest thing that happened, and this is kind of the whole reason that I haven't made anything and the whole reason I'm making this video, is my dad passed away. About pretty much a year ago today, my dad passed away. He passed away on May 4th in Hong Kong, and that was just super hard. So kind of how things played out is around Easter last year, I was planning to go back to Hong Kong because you have the Easter break, and I wanted to take a holiday to spend time with my family. At that time, my dad had already had a cancer scare with pancreatic cancer. And at the time, we thought we were really lucky because we caught it early. He went in for a surgery. He got most of the tumor removed, and then he started doing like preventative chemotherapy to try and, make sure that it didn't get any worse. And, that was a really scary time. But about November of 2018, my dad told me that he was cancer-free. And that was an awesome moment, obviously. But in February of 2019, around then, my dad went back to the doctor, and they found out that the cancer had spread. And it had gotten so bad that they needed to, have surgery as soon as possible, begin chemotherapy. Some context for this is my dad at the time was 72. So, not super old for someone who lives in Hong Kong in this day and age, but, old enough that things like chemotherapy are looking very, very scary. And so he kind of, was in and out of the hospital here and there, like checkups and figuring out what the next steps were. And I think around late February, early March, he was admitted to the hospital to prepare for his surgery. But little did we know at the time that that would be the last time that, he would see home. He never ended up coming back from the hospital. He did transfer eventually to a palliative care ward where they kind of look after you when they know you're going to die. But what kind of happened there is my dad had a blocked bile duct, which complicated things, and they couldn't proceed with the surgery, and there was complication after complication after complication. And the doctors just kind of realized, realistically, this is probably it. And there was one day, I was still preparing for my trip back home to Hong Kong in Easter, and, living apart from my family. Like, I live here in Australia. I didn't realize how bad it was. And I was out drinking with my friends. It was like April 22nd or 23rd of 2019. Just again, for memories and context, I was out drinking with my friends Nadia, Henga, and Esther, because Esther had never seen me drunk. So she was like, okay, we're gonna get you drunk. And we went out for Korean barbecue. We had so many bottles of soju and stuff. And, we had finished all of the drinks and all the food, and I still wasn't drunk. I was pretty tipsy. Then we decided to go to Woolies, the supermarket, to get some ice creams, and then we'd just have dessert and chill at my house. And while we were shopping in Woolies, I got a call from my mom, and she told me that my dad had been moved into the ICU. And my mom was basically crying on the phone, and she asked when I wouldn't be able to come back to Hong Kong. At this point, my flight was the following night, and she told me if there's any way I can get back sooner, because she wasn't sure my dad would make it through the night. And at that moment, I just collapsed, partially because I was a little inebriated, so my inhibitions would have been down a bit more, but I essentially got a call from my mom where, in her perspective, she just thought my dad wasn't gonna make it through the night. And I was halfway across the world with no way of getting home within the next 12 hours. So shout out to Henga, Nadia, and Esther, who were so understanding and supportive, where I was just like, we got a call tonight off, like, I gotta go. They came home, they helped me pack all of my shit into a suitcase. And Henga and Nadia at the time lived right next to the airport. And so Henga drove me to his place, and I crashed there for the night as much as I could. I only got like 40 minutes of sleep that whole night, because how the fuck do you sleep through something like that? And Qantas was really helpful. They told me, yeah, we'll move you onto an earlier flight and all this kind of stuff. And I was only moving my flight forward about 5 hours, but in that kind of situation, like, every second counted. And I got up at 6 in the morning to go to the airport. And when I arrived at the desk, I just think it was like an interesting moment. The woman at the desk for Qantas was like, hey, like, how are you going? Are you excited to go home? When I handed her my Hong Kong passport. So she was like, okay, well, this guy's going home. And I just broke down again in front of the Qantas staff. And those were, I think, probably the longest 12 hours of my life that I've ever experienced. I had to transfer to Melbourne, and the flight in Sydney was delayed by 45 minutes. And I only had 30 minutes from the plane landing in Melbourne to the plane taking off to go to Hong Kong. And so I was freaking out that I would miss my amended flight schedule. But, Qantas, they delayed the other flight to make sure I could make it on. They had a person meet me at the gate and walk me from the domestic terminal to the international terminal, and really happy with Qantas and the way that they handled that kind of situation. So then I landed in Hong Kong, and I made it to the hospital, and, a long story short, my dad ended up living until May 4th. So, I had maybe 2 or 3 weeks with him, and I was in and out of the hospital every single day. I basically, with the exception of one night, never left Hong Kong Island, so that I was always within 10 minutes of the hospital. My family from England flew all the way out to essentially say their goodbyes. And also I want to, just for my own records, I really want to give a huge props to Corsair, particularly Adrian, Harry, Colin, Brenda, Ryan, Tim, Nick. Everyone was so understanding of the situation, and there was so much going on in work at that time, and they were totally fine with like, don't even worry about it. Just while I'm talking about Corsair, I gotta make sure that the screen doesn't. They were super understanding, and they were just like, you know what, like you gotta do what you gotta do. Family comes first. And they sent me flowers, and they were so great. And then on May 4th of 2019, my dad had what felt like at the time a normal day. He was lying in bed, obviously very weak. At this point he was DNR, do not resuscitate. He had decided that if he was gonna go, he was gonna go. And I was just, there on my phone doing what little work I could while he would watch the news, try sleep. And at the end of the night, at around 8 p.m., my sister and my future brother-in-law Steve, my mom and I were all there helping him try and take what little food he could for dinner and to help him take his medicine. And as he was trying to swallow his pills, he passed away. I was right next to him holding his right hand, and he just went catatonic, was staring right through me, and I just realized when I moved, his gaze didn't follow, and the doctors told us this is probably it. I'm glad that he went with his entire family around him, the people who loved him the most. And the last thing that I said to him is that I loved him, and I promised our family was going to look after each other, that he wouldn't have to worry about it. Obviously, dealing with something like that is fucking shit. Everything in my life has kind of changed. I think my general demeanor, the way I react to some things, and what I do in my free time as well, I lost all motivation for anything creative, and it took kind of a while for genuine joy and spark to kind of come back, and really that was the thing that kind of stopped me from making anything for the past year. I just want to say, like, I'm not making this to try and farm views or any shit like that. Like, I'm making this for me, so that I remember what I've been through, and that me and my family at least have something to look back on. But one of the things that I really wanted to do, which I never had the chance to, is I shout out again to my friend Sam, who suggested, because his mom also passed away due to cancer a few years ago. He told me he wished he had more videos of her. And so I thought, well, like, I fucking make videos for fun. So the idea was that I was going to interview my dad, so that for the rest of time, or at least my life, I would have some video footage to remember him by. Because my dad didn't really like being on camera, definitely didn't like being in videos. And so I didn't have any of that kind of footage. But when I got back and he was in the hospital and he was super weak and he could barely talk most days, it wasn't feasible. So this is just for my own records. What does that mean for content, channel? Why the fuck am I making this video? This has become a long video about just me crying over my dead dad, which is, I guess, fair enough, but anyway, I want to kind of refocus what I'm doing. I worked very briefly, like I said, with a bunch of YouTubers and Twitch streamers and stuff like that as like a talent manager, working in that space with figuring out deals and generating content strategies for other people and things like this. And being surrounded by people who were genuinely passionate about the same things I was passionate about, even though it was maybe 8 months after my dad passed away, it started really like sparking a fire in me again. I started really being like, man, like I miss making videos, I miss streaming, I miss doing this kind of stuff. And so I just keep in mind that this is like back in December of 2019, and now we're in fucking almost in May. So I don't move quickly, but I decided to finally edit everything in my backlog. I organized all of my footage, so this video is kind of gonna go onto my other channel. Surprise, I have multiple channels, none of which really have many subscribers. But this channel right here, Roscosity, I'm gonna keep it kind of more for creative projects, things that I wanna do and create that have something to say. They're not just going to be vlogs anymore. I'm going to put all my vlogs over on my vlog channel here, I guess. Simple as it is. So I've got like 12, 14, I can't remember. Like I got like over 10 videos that were in my backlog that I edited. And a lot of them like awkwardly have like my ex-girlfriend in them. But I'm just putting them up for my memory's sake. So there's gonna be like a shit ton of throwback vlogs. Like, I mean, you can see us like celebrating New Year going into, I think it's 2016. So it's like, or 2017, I can't remember. It's a long time ago. But I've been, yeah, it's been a long time for me to work through those vlogs. I think it's 2017. But yeah, so I won't promise a schedule or anything like that because, you know, I work full time now. I don't work from home anymore. Although with this COVID-19 situation, fucking who knows. But yeah, I also don't want this to just feel like a sad pity me video because you know what? There's been some awesome things that happened in 2019. Kind of going through what I went through, I really saw how much my friends cared about me. You know, Tim and Chris, like, and Ben back in Hong Kong really made so much time to make sure I was okay and, you know, hanging out with my guy friends here, my housemates and things like that. As well as just people online, people like you guys who just really poured out their support and I didn't know what else to do, but, you know, thank you guys for being there in the ways that you were. I also got like a sneak peek into the world that I was super passionate about and, you know, sure, it's a bit sad that it didn't work out, but I was just still so happy that I had an opportunity to be there and to work more closely with people that really inspire me, that I really look up to. And so I've, you know, like I said, it really lit a fire for me in getting back into this. And so, yeah, I just want to try and make the best of it because, like, I miss my dad so much and I'll probably never stop missing him. And I think part of me thought that if I went back to life the way it was before he passed away, that I would somehow not be honoring his memory or honoring, you know, who he, like, the impact that his death was having on me. But I also thought, like, this is not the way that my dad would want me to be. He wouldn't want me to just be sad and moping around and not doing the things that I love. So yeah, I'm gonna try and start creating more shit again. This has basically been one long ass take with only me repeating shit that I stuttered. Here's a real raw look into who I am. So I'm gonna try creating more gaming content, vlog content, travel content. Like, I really just love making content. So if you wanna check out my vlog channel, like I said, I'll list it in the description as well. There's like some old stuff there from like 2016 till now. With the most recent vlogs being me and my current girlfriend Lizzie going to spend New Year's in Cambodia, where we had horrible food poisoning. I guess the only way that I'd want to close this is, you know, obviously with coronavirus kind of scaring the whole world and all this kind of stuff, just stay home, stay safe, and if you really can, actually take the time to tell someone that you care about that you love them, because fuck dude, I didn't realize how fucking shitty it feels to actually lose someone. Yeah, so hope you guys are doing well, and hopefully you'll see a new video from me soon.